Well. Shake me up, Dino. Norwich City are on a roll. 2 wins in a row. Europa League. Here we come. Welcome back to the TNC Podcast, everyone. It's so good to be joined alongside you all on this glorious Sunday evening. Jack Reeve and Chris Reeve back for an hour of goodness, talking all things Norwich City. Chris, I'm feeling slightly hoarse. What about you?
So I was wondering what you were going to say there. Dino. Mate, I didn't expect to be hoarse from Director's Box Dino's. I really didn't. We went for it, didn't we? It was glorious. It really, really was. I didn't expect to lose my voice, but I did. It was a really, really good atmosphere, a good hearty atmosphere at Carrow Road, wasn't it, at the weekend?
It was a momentous occasion.
Well, the last time that we won at Carrow Road was against in the Premier League was against Leicester, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
So it's been a long time coming. There was, I think, a real sense of relief in the crowd towards the end of the game. And yeah, mate, like we're going to spend the whole hour and probably more on this live podcast, I'm sure, just waxing lyrical about how optimistic and positive we're feeling again. So many positives to talk about, some things to tweak. But just genuinely, mate, I'm just so excited for Dino, buzzing about Craigie Shakespeare in that number 2 as well. I really am. And I'm more buzzing to be on the TNC Live podcast tonight with all of these wonderful people. Don't forget to get your TNC podcast setups in, ladies, gents, boys and girls. All you've got to do is take a picture of your screen, wherever you're watching, however you're watching. We've had people with glasses of wine, Lakens, which you get extra points for. We've had fireplaces. We've had dinners. Take a picture, get it on Twitter, get it on IG, tag at TalkNorwichCity, and I will retweet and share all of them as a thanks for your support.
Absolutely. We're going to be discussing over the next hour the return of Todd Cantwell and Billy Gilmour into the side. Teemu Pukki with 4 Premier League goals this season. Grant Hanley with his first Premier League goal in about 10 years. Of course, Dean Smith's first win in charge of Norwich City on his first time at Carrow Road, and also a look ahead to Wolves. Chris, we'll get some comments in a moment. Let's start with the starting 11 from yesterday. It was the most anticipated team news of the season, probably for a long while. We didn't know how Smith would play. He'd only been in the job for a couple of days going into Saturday. Were you shocked? Were you excited? What were you feeling?
Not shocked, because it's obvious that we've had this talent all season, but they've been massively underutilized. Surprised, yes. And we obviously put our predictions out of what the team would be on the Talk Norwich City social media accounts. And I don't know about you, Jack, but I picked my team based on what I really hoped that I would see.
Yes.
I fully expect it. It would have been very, very easy. I said this on the MDE. It would have been very, very easy for Dino and Big Shakes to just keep it simple. They've only had 2 training sessions. Stick with the same team that beat Brentford and just try and contain Southampton and nick something. To be fair, we did do that, but I was very impressed with the personnel that was selected. Very impressed. So happy that we started with that starting 11. It says and speaks tremendous volumes that he started both Billy Gilmour and Todd Cantwell. And I think he got the balance right on the whole. Of course, we'll go on to talk about the first half, the shaky first half, and, you know, Todd not being fully up to speed yet, to be expected. Yeah, overall, mate, I was buzzing about the team, and I'm sure everyone will agree in the comments, right? When you saw that team on the way to Carrow Road, how did it make you feel as a fan? Did you think, oh, here we go again, we've got to drag through another game like a cold bag of shit? Or did you start pounding your chest as you went through the Barclay entrance, order your pie and your flat bud, and you went, come on, then, let's go and get these 3 points today? And that's what that team news did.
The glorious thing of where we sat, you know, nibbling on prawn sandwiches and politely clapping, other than the very comfy seats, we had a brilliant view of the pitch from a tactical perspective. Plus, we could hear what the managers were saying. It was a completely different experience for us. Let's touch on Billy Gilmour, because we know what happened with Todd Cantwell. He started, he wasn't fully fit, drifted in and out of the game. I didn't think he was terrible. He wasn't great. He will grow into that role. I think it sent a message that he was started by Dean Smith. That's what I really liked. Billy Gilmour, though, was named man of the match by us and also the club. I'm sure our opinion matters more. But he was marvellous, and it felt like he was played in the correct role. It was really interesting to hear on Match of the Day them discussing Billy Gilmour, because I think Farke thought that he was a bit lightweight on the ball, turned it over a bit too much. But Ian Wright was saying, look, he's a fantastic player. You've just got to get him in the right position. You've got to get him slightly higher up the pitch. And that's what Dean Smith was able to do.
Yeah, you're sitting on a pot of gold with Billy G. You really are. And as Dean, and I would encourage anyone, if you've somehow not already, go and watch Dean Smith's post-match interview on the club channel back and listen very carefully about to the words that Dean Smith used to describe Billy Gilmour and how important he was to the team. And I thought Billy was excellent. And I described him on my Twitter account as a terrier, nipping at the heels, really quick, agile, bounding about the middle of the park. And that's the energy that we need. And actually, it was really interesting, Jack, and I'll try and find these in a minute. I'll get the stats up. But the stats speaks tremendous volumes, not just about Billy Gilmour, but also Kenny McLean in the middle of the park as well. Ben Gibson, the list goes on. But yeah, it must be said, Billy Gilmour deserved man of the match for me. But, and a lot of people responded to us with this, that they felt Mila Rashica was well worthy of man of the match. We've also, of course, had Brandon Williams, a big shout. But isn't that great that we're arguing about who the man of the match should be?
Well, absolutely.
Real positive. I really do.
Absolutely. Let's get some comments in, shall we? I love this, the Shakespeare effect. No longer William Shakespeare was the most famous man. It's now Craig Shakespeare. Get my Deans and my Craigs mixed up. This is a great comment, and this comes on nicely to what I think we should talk about next. First 3 minutes and the goal conceded was a very scary few minutes. Just that fear that nothing has or will change. Luckily, we proved very wrong. Chris, the first half, really, we were up against it. I described it as weather and storm. But when Che Adams scores that goal after 3 minutes, you're suddenly going, ooh, like
in the script.
This is that wasn't in the script, and we've got deep issues here. But yeah, how were you feeling after 3 minutes? We can discuss our goals at length shortly.
I genuinely, I actually wasn't that worried.
Why though?
Because it was Dino's first game in charge. We'd experimented with a new batch of players that have been, come on, like, I know there's some tactical understanding there, but they've been thrown in really to kind of just try and work it out, right? There's not been much prep time. So I knew it'd be chaotic. chaotic. And of course, it was a disappointing goal to concede. But I genuinely did have the faith that when you play your two most creative players in Todd and Billy, we would eventually carve out opportunities. And that's what we did. And it was a brilliant, brilliant way to respond. Maxi Aaron's absolutely fantastic delivery. But to be honest with you, before that, Mila Rashica did very well. And I guess, Jack, what we should talk about, and I guess share with people, is the sheer amount of information that we could hear from Dino and Shaky on the sidelines. So impressed, by the way, first and foremost, just how good they are at coaching. They're not just bellowing for the sake of it, but when they bellow, they will be listened to. And it was mainly Milo, but we'll go on to that in a minute. Thomas Page.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for your super chat, Thomas. Dino looked the part when he first walked in and then backed it up with a comeback win on the ball City. Yeah, the first time we've conceded first and then gone on to win since 2016. It's been a terrible trait of ours that we just can't win games from behind. Yesterday, we were able to do it. Chris, I thought the first half, especially, Max Aarons was so up against it. Walker Peters and down that side, it was 3-on-1 at times. And you could hear, as you mentioned there, Dean Smith constantly in the ear of Milo Rashica, work, drop in. And he expected so much of Milo yesterday, and he did do the job well in the end. But I think that was the difference for me yesterday. The ability from Dean Smith and Craig Shakespeare to change the game in play. It felt as if that was under Daniel Farke, who knows? You know, we need hindsight for that. But I don't think we would have won under Daniel Farke.
What do you mean, who knows? What do you mean, who knows? We do know. We wouldn't have won that game under Daniel Farke. We'd have gone 1-0 down. Yeah, we would have gone in at half-time. No words would have been said. Off you go, lads. And then we go and lose the game. We know because we were so disappointing on so many occasions under his leadership in the Premier League. So we know that. And that's why I was ridiculously impressed with Dino as well. And for that goal, for the first goal, which of course Pukki did incredibly well to finish on the angle with his head, which he often doesn't do. One of the things we noticed, Jack, is Dino was having words with Milo about his positioning, but not just defensively, but also where he wanted to hang out. He said, like, Milo, I really need you in these areas, yeah? And what happened? He picked up the ball, fed it to Maxi, boom, 1-1 straight away. And that shows, doesn't it? And another point I really want to make, Jack, because we've had some inevitable stick about this because people know that we're buds with Todd. Todd will know he didn't have the best game yesterday, but also Todd will recognise that he probably didn't have the legs to continue on from that second half period. And I was so impressed that Dean Smith took that decision to protect Todd and say, actually, you know what, Todd? I've started you. I'm pleased I've started you. But do you know what now? I'm going to try something different. And by God, did it work. And I'm okay with that. The Premier League is so much more than a starting 11. You know, squads survive, not starting 11s. And to have that ability to change it, like Dino did, and Shaky, mustn't forget Shaky, was very, very impressive. And by the way, speaking of... do
you want a throwback?
Here we go.
Throwback.
Here he is.
No chill, Cashy, back in the room. It's been a while.
Yes, no chill. How are your stocks and shares? No chill.
Watch along old timers will know about no chill, Cashy. Welcome back to the room, and thank you for the super sticker. Chris, we mentioned Todd Cantwell there. He was, of course, replaced at half-time for Josh Sargent. And not only was the second half performance so much better than the first, Josh Sargent was a big part of that yesterday.
Yeah, and I want to hear a formal apology from you.
Well, no, I said I don't think he's an out-and-out striker, and I still stand by that.
Mate, you didn't just say that.
I did.
Bastard Josh Sargent.
No, I don't think that's fair. I still haven't seen enough to think he's an £8 million player, but he did change the game yesterday.
Well,
to an extent.
Well, look, I think Josh Sargent certainly proved you and many of the other...
proved me wrong. He's yet to score, Chris. He's a striker.
Mate, I thought Josh was brilliant. I was so impressed. And not just because of what he did, but he just showed that he had that confidence about him. And I was so worried that after... I'm going to have to mention it. Sorry, Josh, if you're watching. Doubt you are. I was so worried after that Brighton miss that's it. You know, confident shot for, you know, so much of this season.
I think Dean Smith really likes Sargent. I think we can see a new Josh Sargent under Dean Smith.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe this is the reignition of the Pukki Sargent partnership that we initially praised and then dismissed under Daniel Farke. Who knows? You know, by the way, I just want to say thank you so much. There's so many lovely comments coming in, Jack. And do keep getting your TNC podcast setups in over on Twitter and Instagram. Take a picture of your screen at TalkNorwichCity and I'll share all of them as a thanks for your support. Cheesy Gee's in the house.
Cheesy.
He was living out with Delia as well. He says,
By the way, Cheesy yesterday, you could tell he was mixing with the big guns. Didn't want to talk to us. Straight past us.
Every time now.
No.
Used us for the watch-alongs. So he's buzzing. Let's see what this guy says as well. Mr. Greengrass, aka Mr. Chopper himself. He says Dino has had these lads for 2 training sessions and has them running through walls for one another.
Yeah, I like that.
Quick pause on this. Jack,
like that.
That's key, isn't it? And we said that this Dino appointment, it really... it stinks of just that passion, that do-or-die attitude. And you could tell after the game, when Dino was hanging about outside the tunnel, Yeah, just that sheer respect for one another straight away. I just loved that. And I think it's such a good point from Dan Greengrass. I really do. They were literally running through walls. And on that note, Josh Sargent certainly did that, didn't he, Jack?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I thought that's spot on. I thought the midfield was all over the place first half. Second half, I thought they were excellent. I thought they really dug in deep. I thought the defensive performance on the whole was pretty solid. I thought Gibson had his best match of the season. Lovely to see Hanley get his goal, despite a couple of mistakes in the game. So that was really nice on his birthday. I thought Brandon Williams, once again, phenomenal. And
Brilliant.
Digging in deep, showing a bit of anger, pushing back when he gets pushed. I like that. And I thought Max Aarons was excellent. What we haven't seen from Max Aarons this season under Daniel Farke was a willingness to get forwards. And I think we saw more of that yesterday. I think he had a bit more freedom because of Milo Rashica working a little bit harder. So there's positive elements in that defensive kind of line that I really like the look of. And No Chill Cashy's back in the room again. It's just spitting facts, really. Craig Shakespeare is the GOAT. He is No Chill Cashy. He absolutely is. We love big shakes.
I absolutely love, but this is my favorite shaky moment from the. I feel like we need a shake,
my God,
like a little shaky highlight. Like Norwich City tweet the highlights. I would love them to just like film Shakespeare the whole game. I just love the bloody passion. And anyway, my highlight from that game was, it was when Brandon Williams got booked. Okay, absolutely nowhere near the ball, just literally smashed the player over, and you would have thought that both of the Dino and Shaky would have been like, they might have clapped maybe and gone, well done or something like that. Bloody Shakespeare went good, and like properly and I was just like, yes, that's the fun that you need injected in. That's what we've been wanting for so long.
Absolutely. I cannot believe this, but No Chill Cashy, please stop now. But $300 thrown in the pot. The big man himself. The stocks are clearly coming in.
No Chill, right? Seriously, mate. Donate the money to charity, please.
Yeah,
please. We will read out your comments anyway. No Chill. And we can't just dance over that. No Chill. Thank you so much. It's so kind. Really.
Thoughts on Leicester?
Yeah, we did. We the quite remarkable thing is you are a Leicester fan.
We've given our thoughts on Leicester before, No Chill. We had him in the watch-alongs.
Well, what I will say about Leicester is that they were there for the taking at Carrow Road, and I'm certainly excited for the reverse fixture because I think Dino and Shaky is going to give them an absolute hiding. That's for sure. No Chill Cashy. Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, incredible. Lee Bruce, love this comment and such a good point, and why I'm so excited for the next few games, Jack. We're going to get so much more out of Milo because, of course, he was wanted by Aston Villa under Dean Smith, as well as Todd Cantwell, by the way, for the Cantwell haters in here. And I think that's a great point, isn't it, Jack? Clearly two players, but particularly Milo is one that's looked upon very fondly by Dean Smith. And you would like to think that game against Southampton was almost like a bit of a warm-up for him, and in terms of his expectancy of what Dean Smith's going to be demanding of him. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the big frustration for not only the top brass at Norwich, but fans has been the lack of ability to get the best out of our better players. And I include Milo Rashica in that. I didn't know that statistic that he was one of the best pressing wingers. I think we saw that yesterday. And I think it's why Max Aarons was given freedom down the right side, which, really helped with both of our goals. I thought he looked really like he was blowing last 10 minutes. You could tell he'd really put it in and hadn't worked that intensity for this season. But I think Rashica, there's a lot more to come from him. It was nice to see Christos Jolis get a brief run out. I think there's a lot more to come from Todd Cantwell. The performance from Billy Gilmore went above and beyond my expectations. Lots to be excited about. And I think aside from that, my biggest praise for yesterday was that constant tweaking of tactics in game. Yes. Even when we went 2-1 up with 10 minutes to go, we didn't shut up shop. We were still pressing and digging in deep. And there was that header from Walcott, which went very close. Yes. But I thought the defensive performance for 87 minutes of that game was solid.
But we got the job done, Jack. And
that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
I know. And they say, if you're going to have a bit of a shaky one, if you can still get through those games with 3 points, that's the sign of a good team. I really do. I'm just about to bring that up.
Great point.
In the house.
Yeah, lovely cat, Tony. Thank you so much for the super chat. He said, I like Dean Smith and Craig Shakespeare because they never left the touchline.
Yes.
You always bang on about this,
yes.
Chris, about you want to see your manager on the touchline. They were both there, arm in arm, with their men on the battlefield. They were in the trenches, digging deep. And we won the war yesterday.
The thing is, Jack, is it's completely in line with what our club's allegedly meant to be about in terms of marginal gains, right? Why would you sit on your comfy seat, just letting it unfold in front of you, and then get angry? Be proactive. Get in the ears of your team. Get in the ears of the opposition. Old Craig Shakespeare was winding up. I think it was Carl Walker-Peters was on the line about to take a throw in, and he said something to him, which was obviously a friendly exchange. But I want that. I want those marginal gains to be used. And
Hasenhüttl was very wound up.
But also, Dino can't talk to more than one person at once, obviously. So why wouldn't you have Shaky on the line talking to someone, Dino on the other? Mate, I think it's an iconic partnership we're witnessing here. I really do. A lot of people talk about Ant and Deck. A lot of people talk about, I'm buzzing about those boys. Anyway, it's a very important point. I'm genuinely not just getting carried away. You want your gaffer on the touchline, barking orders, injecting that passion, that belief that we've lacked all season. They're going to need to be on there though for the rest of the season. That's for sure, Jack, because it's still a huge ask. But the Leeds result tonight means we are only 3 points off.
Are we really?
Unless I'm wrong, unless my maths has failed me. And
possibly.
And then all of a sudden,
really,
I think so. Unless something's gone wrong since I last looked, people might have a pop me in the chat.
Oh my God, we are only 3 points from safety.
You should start believing me.
Hang on, how many we are? We're only 13 points off the top 6. And guess who's 6th at the moment? Wolves beat them. Oh, mate,
European tour.
Here we go. What did we make to bring it back down to earth slightly?
Hang on. That's true. No chill cashy. Talk Norwich City. Our club needs investment. They have opportunities, plenty of sponsorship opportunities. I'm sure you'd be willing to pay for the wages of maybe a striker in January or something like that. Do let us know if you want us to put you in touch with Delia, and we will do just that.
Chris, to bring things slightly back down to earth, 2 very dubious goalkeeping errors from Southampton yesterday.
I don't really care. We won the game.
But what I'm saying is, I think if we were to put that performance in against a lot of other teams, we probably wouldn't have walked away with 3 points. Now that isn't a criticism, but I think we should put that into context.
Yeah. Well, we would have lost, Jack, because the chances that we gave away in the first half. I say the chances, but just the amount of crosses from both sides, by the way. And that's been our weakness this season when our fullbacks have bombed forwards and left themselves exposed. Max, by the way, had a great game. It was really Max was brilliant yesterday, considering that he was covering for Milo a lot in that first half. I think a team with it was the perfect game. Of course, we had a Southampton fan on the opposition preview, Jack, this week. Talking.
You were spot on. What he said was spot on. Wasn't it?
He said our team don't take our chances, and
he also said that they would fade,
and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So actually, it's an absolute blessing that we got Southampton in this first game, and the fact that we've got another home game coming up now. I know Wolves are a great team. They've got some ridiculous players in.
Yeah, but they haven't got Craig Shakespeare, Chris.
Exactly.
They haven't got the best managerial duo in Europe.
Exactly. None of their coaching staff have won the Premier League before.
There we go. Thomas. Hello, Thomas. All the way from Norway. I'm so fired up this evening.
Yes.
Almost became emotional when the ref sounded the final whistle. I pissing love Dean Smith's yellow and green army. By the way, Dean Smith's yellow army echoing round Carrow Road yesterday. I love to hear that.
God, it got me
People
going.
have bought in quickly, considering how loved Daniel Farker it was.
Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they
Well,
buy
I thought there
in?
might be a mourning of Daniel Farker.
Why?
Couple of promotions.
Well, yeah, but we've been dismal this season. Like, we respect what he's done. Let's move on. We've got Dino in charge. Why wouldn't the fans back him? And by the way, I got a point on Dino, right? Something I was actually really...
Another one.
I was really quite happy. Yeah, so many. Something that I actually really liked as well, right?
Did it get you going?
This really got me going. So after the game, he's finishing, like, you know, shaking the players' hands, hugs, etc., etc. And I think the Norwich fans thought that, and we said this, that he was going to go up to the Barclay. Maybe he would go around the pitch and, you know, applaud the fans. And he did applaud the fans. But I like the fact that literally after the last hug, it was literally just and then he turned around and got straight back down the tunnel.
Oh, you liked that, did you?
Yeah, I liked it. Do you know why? Because he's got a bloody job to do. No time for self-indulgence. It's his first game. Yeah, clap the fans, get in the tunnel, get to work. Dino, I love that from you.
Could we have seen a little chest pump from Big Shakes though towards the Barclay?
Wow, that's something that I am furious about. And, you know, and I know Dino will be watching this. You know, so if you are watching Dino, you need to get Big Shakes to go up to the Barclay, give it a badge pan, give it one of them, do something. Like, we want Shakespeare up against the Barclay, don't we, Jack?
Absolutely. No Chill Cashy back in again. Please stop donating. No Chill Cashy. Thoughts on if Tim Krul gets hurt? I think Angus Gunn's incredibly overrated. We were talking about this yesterday in terms of players need to prove themselves again, because I'm looking at especially the goalkeeping position. You've got a former Premier League goalkeeper there in Angus Gunn. These people need to start improving their performances. I think Tim Krul's been excellent this season. I also think Angus Gunn, if Krul makes a couple of mistakes, he'll be there ready to take his opportunity. I really do. I like Angus Gunn a lot.
Yeah, I don't think Angus is overrated in the slightest, but I'm completely biased. You know, but look, Timmy Krul's our number one. We've clearly signed Angus to take that number one jersey from Tim Krul when the time is right. But in the meantime, we've got, you know, one of my favourite leaders of all time, you know, in terms of what I genuinely believe that Norwich have signed. Tim Krul, on and off the pitch, in the changing room, is exactly what you want from your goalkeeper and exactly what you want as a footballer. I think he's put in, and by the way, we've not spoken about this, Jack, yet. That save from Timmy Krul yesterday. Huge. If that goes in, we're in big trouble. Big trouble. And Krul, and Grant Hanley, by the way, and thank God he scored, because he had a bit of a wobbly game, by the way, didn't he, on his birthday, bless him. Grant Hanley falls over his own feet, gives the ball away, and I'm thinking, this is 2-1 here. I held my hands up and went, oh my God, right, here we go. Is this going to go? And is this going to go? And Tim Krul, what a save. And that's why I'm buzzing that he's our number one.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was as good as a goal, that Tim Krul save. It was Adams again, wasn't it? And it was going down to his it was an awkward kind of angle to get down to. It was a wonderful save one-on-one. He's been really good he was excellent against Brentford. And he was really good. I keep forgetting we've won 2 in a row. I keep forgetting that. Incredible.
Well, this is the thing, mate. We've won 2 in a row, and we said this.
What did we say?
We said before the game, if you win this one today,
the
whole narrative changes, yeah? And all of a sudden, we beat Wolves at home next week. We've won 3 games in a row.
Hello.
We're the most informed team in the Prem by that point. And
then it's a trip to Newcastle, struggling. That's 4 in a row.
Yeah, and that's a and then Newcastle away is a statement win. Yeah. Because it shows, shove your Saudi money up your ass, yeah? Boom. We're going to beat you in your own back garden. And God, I want that. And I think it's doable. Mate, I think it's doable. Because because the expectancy, what are you giggling at? The expectancy is on the floor because of the dismal start that we've had. We're allowing Dino and Shaky to implement their tactics, their ideas. We're being more patient with the players now, some of us. And I think that's a real big positive, huge positive.
I thought a wonderful moment yesterday off the pitch was when the full-time whistle blew and we were sitting very close to Stuart Webber. There was a visible sign of relief that kind of dropped off his shoulders. He's had a difficult season himself. His recruitment has been questioned. It was a big decision to sack Daniel Farke when he did. But you could tell how much that meant to him. And I think he was watching that game going, yeah, I've made the right call here.
It's really interesting, wasn't it, Jack? Because
he was animated yesterday.
Yeah, and by the way, big up to Steve Collins, by the way, from Elite Sport Giveaways, who gave us those tickets. We've had for some reason, sadly, we always get trolled. There was one person that said that we were in bed with the club again. That is wrong. That's very wrong. I suspect as we walked up into that director's box, there was a few surprised faces because of our stance on Daniel Farke. But we were very lucky to be given those tickets from a fantastic businessman locally. Anyway, it was interesting, Jack, because I spent a lot of time actually as well as watching the game, listening and watching to Dean Smith and Dino and Shaky, but also had half an eye on Stuart, on Zoe, on Delia, and watching their reactions to the game. Stuart was just like he was watching it like in such a stern manner, so stern. And it was after Grant scored, he turned around and like gave it like that was when you saw like that relief. Yeah. And after the game, there was hugs, and obviously when we went up to Delia at the end, she was happy and she was buzzing, but I think she was probably more relieved than anything else. Would you agree?
Yeah, well, yeah, you would be, wouldn't you? I mean, that was a big moment yesterday. Norwich City have suddenly gone from being completely written off to, as you say, Chris, 3 points from safety. I mean, the fact that we hadn't won in 10 and now we're 3 points away from pulling out of the drop zone is remarkable, really. It really is. Other than Billy Gilmore, who got the man of the match yesterday, Chris, who would have been your close second?
Well, having looked back at the stats, Ben Gibson.
Right.
I think
the stats were tasty, were they?
Good stats, solid stats. 6
shaky stats, but as in like Craig Shakespeare stats. Solid.
Yeah, mate, he's so good. Blocks are plenty. Solid as a rock at the back, and I'm pleased because I don't think Grant had his best game, unfortunately. He'll know that. But again, Grant's been in and out of the team as well, to be fair to him. And by the way, I do want to say, I feel for Big Andy. I think Big Andy was unlucky not to start that one. I'm pleased that Grant played, obviously, but I'm also disappointed for Big Andy. My man of the match, if it wasn't Billy, I would have gone Ben Gibson. Who would you have gone for, Jack?
I liked Gibson's performance. I thought Rashica was excellent for 70, 80 minutes of that game. I thought he had a wobbly start, but I think that was probably because he was in a role slightly different, or at least his duties within that role were very different. Max Aarons, I thought, had one of his best games. And Josh Sargent was excellent for 45 minutes. And a man we haven't really mentioned yet, but Dan Greengrass has. Has anyone mentioned Norman? I could come home and find him in bed with my missus and I'd give him a handshake and thank him for his services at Norwich City. Tuck him in. Thank him for the goal. My one criticism with Matthias Norman, and it's a big criticism actually, the hair. What's he done to the hair? He has to keep the blonde highlights, doesn't he?
Yeah, I found it difficult to spot him actually.
Yeah, I was going, is Matthias playing?
Well, but that's good, isn't it? Because you don't want him to be the only highlight, right? But he put in some great tackles yesterday. I was very impressed with Matthias again. And yes, we want the yellow and green half and half, Jamie Curitan style. But I thought Norman was all right. I think Norman probably had one of his more quieter games, actually.
This is a good positive for the defence. Besides the Chelsea match, and that was a big besides, we've only conceded 4 goals in the last 5 matches. The defence does feel hugely improved. I can't think of a single clear-cut opportunity, barring that Walcott header, which was probably a half chance in that second half for Southampton. We really did shore ourselves up. And considering how attacking we were in that second half, I think that was huge. What's been the main difference, do you think? I mean, the midfield has seemingly given them slightly more protection, but it just feels like everyone's raised their levels a bit.
I would say it's the latter, Jack. I think everyone's raised their levels. We've said it time after time. We know that we've got the players to survive in this league. I genuinely believe that. I don't think the recruitment's been poor. I do think there's a couple of players where you think, oh, I'm not quite sure yet. But that's because the confidence has been at absolute rock bottom. Josh Sargent is a classic case, yeah? We've seen that when he's played in a side with no confidence that's getting beat comfortably. Of course, he's not going to perform well. You know, and then he gets started away at Chelsea. It's going to be tough for him, right? And I would agree. I think all of the players raised their levels yesterday. And one player particularly that really raised their levels, even more so than normal, was Kenny McLean. Not a fashionable shout, not a fashionable player in terms of, you know, the fans talk about. But I just thought yesterday that Kenny was just such an engine room. And again, being in our position, normally we can't hear anything from where we are, Jack, because we can just hear the atmosphere. And the Barclay were obviously a part of that. We hear a bit of Tim Krul, sometimes the defence as well from corners. But Kenny McLean was barking orders at Billy, barking orders at Toddy, at Milo, was going for everything. And I was really, really impressed with Kenny McLean yesterday. And I think it'll be really, really harsh if he gets dropped in the next game. I think he's certainly warranted but he was one of the players that people were debating. Oh, would you start Kenny? Would you start Pierre-Lise Malou? And I think for me now, you can't drop him going into that Wolves game.
Wow. A player Duncan Drake was impressed with was Teemu Pukki. Duncan thinks he absolutely ran his socks off yesterday. Absolute goat. Dino and Shakes will get a statue built. They stink of Premier League survival. I could smell it from the touchline. Duncan, thank you so much for the super chat. Look, Chris, Teemu Pukki, this is a man who I think, well, I've certainly said it. I think a lot of people have said it. Has he quite got that Premier League magic now? He scored 4 league goals this season. He scored more. But I think on his own at times this season, he's looked a yard off the pace. He's not got the pace he used to, but he's changed his game. He's changed his game slightly, hasn't he? He's slightly more conservative with his energy. And 4 league goals from.
Strongly disagree.
You were slagging him off 4 weeks ago.
Oh, bugger off.
You were saying start Josh Sargent. You can't be coming on here now. He scored a couple of goals and acting like you're his biggest fan.
I'm allowed to change my opinion if I want to.
You were saying I never said that. That's vastly untrue.
Everyone has 1-1 on the wind-ups. I felt that Pukki should have been dropped earlier on in the season because
here we go. Oh no, I've backed him all season.
Did I just say I've backed him all season?
You did a minute ago.
I didn't. I said that he's always had it to do it in the Premier League, right? He got injured last time out. He played with an injury. He had an injection against Leicester away, if you remember, and still scored, by the way. Yes. You know, it's all we had. It's all we had. And, you know, so the saying goes, feed the goat and he will score. And lo and behold, what happens? We feed the bloody goat. The goat scores. And I genuinely think that Dino's leadership will get so much more out of Pukki, so much more. And I strongly disagree. I don't think Teemu Pukki is more conservative with his energy yesterday. I felt he gave even more energy. I felt that Dino and Shaky were just shouting work at him, and he was working.
But what I mean, Chris, is I think he's had to adapt his game because he was so used to having Emi Buendia behind him and playing him off the shoulder every time. He ran off the shoulder. That isn't happening so much now. We haven't got Emi Buendia. We're playing a slightly different style, and I think he's adapted his game. This is a praise, by the way. I'm praising him because I think he's adapted well.
Exactly. Let's not talk about the past anymore. We've got a Pukki party now that's going to be popping off every weekend. And I'm excited to see it. I really am.
By the way, Pukki party, Shaky after party. I'm there for that.
at the old Shakespeare and Spice.
This is interesting. He scored the same amount as Aubameyang this season. He scored more than Ivan Toney, and we always hear about how well Ivan Toney's doing. Pukki's going under the radar slightly with the neutrals this season. I like that.
And Pukki, I believe, I've seen this on Twitter today, and I don't know the stat, but Pukki is now going up the levels again in terms of the all-time Premier League top goal scorers for Norwich City as well.
Yes.
So yeah, let's again reiterate. Let's put more Pukki respect on his name. It's me, James E. Pukki hat against Newcastle. Yes, please. Do I think it will happen? No, but I would love it. I really would love it.
Chris, we've won our first game under Dean Smith. A brilliant win, a brilliant occasion. There's a big few weeks coming up. Wolves, Newcastle, the next couple of games. Get some points out of them, and then you're suddenly looking incredibly rosy. Will the form of yesterday continue?
Yes. Yes, it will. I don't see any reason. The fact that we got through that with a win, considering the lack of time that Dino and Shaky had to actually, get into the nitty-gritty of the team and the personalities, as he said in his post-match interview, I think we'll see more. Like the fact that we got that win when we were absolutely smashed in that first half. We were really, really up against the ropes in that first half. Let's not.
So you're taking that as a positive rather than a negative.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Right. Because now we've got a Dean Smith foundation to actually work on, and that's a foundation that I want to build a building on. What are you laughing at?
A Dean Smith foundation.
What's funny about that?
I just like it. I think Craigie Shakes is the foundation, and Dean Smith is the beautiful building that sits on the foundation. Solid foundations built very deep into the ground with big shakes, and then this kind of lovely architectural dream above it. Absolutely wonderful. Scotty boy, teams are going to be scared of coming to Carrow Road. Good point from Scotty. Our first Premier League win at Carrow Road for quite some time. And teams in our situation, Chris, that's scrapping in every single week need to make their home ground a fortress. And the atmosphere, the camaraderie that I felt within Carrow Road yesterday felt like something special was bubbling.
Yeah, definitely. I know it's early to say, but yeah, and I've said it already. You can just see the connection between Dino, Shaky, and just all of those boys.
Are we getting carried away?
Yes. Do we care? No. Are we a fun channel? Yes. Will we change? No. It's good to get carried away. Why do we watch it? Why do we do this? What's the point in all this? Because we want to be entertained, because we want to express our joy and get carried away. Get carried away, for God's sake. You know what, mate? We're not too many points off the European places.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I just say, by the way, big shout out. And people are getting in their TNC pod setups. And then big up to Yeoman's Electrical. Hello, look at this. Hang on a minute. First of all, let's just look at this tweet. Dino, can't talk today. What a day. And he's gone, #Bovril boys. Hashtag love the Norman song, which, by the way, we haven't sung on here yet. And just check out this profile picture. That's profile picture of the week. It really, really is. That's the sort of dry you want to bung your dirty laundry in, isn't it? Really, really is. Big up to Yeoman's Electrical.
I think Matthias Norman's a bit of a washing machine.
Where are you going with this?
It just constantly delivers crisp products out of it. You can throw some dirt into him with a bit of a stray pass. He'll find a way to make that clean and move it along.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Chris, Wolves up next.
Yes.
Dean Smith will finally have a full week at the training ground to get stuck in.
Yes.
What do you think he'll be taking out of that Southampton game and trying to implement on the Colney pitches this week?
I think he'll be taking out that game that still much more work needs to be done defensively to stop those crosses. I think that the work rate will be something that he'll want even more of, particularly the press. We saw that in fits and spells against Southampton, but not throughout. And I think that he'll want more of that. I'm not sure whether we're going to see too many personnel changes, but I think on the pitch this week, it'll all be about creating chances, as many chances, because I still don't think we created a ton of opportunities, Jack.
No.
And do you know what? I'd quite like to see. I always say this. I'd quite like to see us force a save. Do you know what I mean, Jack? Just take a pot shot from the outside of the box.
Yeah.
Get that keeper on the ground. Get the mud on his jersey and force that save. Win the corner. Because now all of a sudden, Jack, I've gone from we've won a set piece, so therefore nothing is going to happen, to now I see set pieces now as a big, big opportunity for Norwich City. And Dino said this in his interviews, isn't he?
Yeah, you read my mind. I was going to come on to that, and you're right, Chris. You've spoke to a lot of Aston Villa fans since Dean Smith's arrival. They said that there was a dramatic improvement with their set pieces when Dean Smith arrived, and for a team that won't be creating endless chances every game, that's us. You need to make the most of set pieces. How many times have we groaned at Carrow Road because we've hit another corner at the first man? Every corner reached a dangerous position yesterday, and one of them found the slab head of Hanley, and it found the back of the net. I think it was, who was it on the corners yesterday? Was it Gilmore or Rashica? Constantly putting it into the mixer.
I'm just giggling, Jack, because and people will enjoy this when they watch the matchday experience back. And for some reason, you decided to scream at the top of your voice, slab heads, from the director's box, which I appreciate your bravery and passion there. But yeah, look, when you've got Grant Hanley with a magnet in his head, why wouldn't you want to stick it on the end of it? 100%.
But it's true, isn't it? It's them.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say small changes, but suddenly becoming half decent at set pieces is a big change, and it seems like finally we've started to pay some attention to them.
Jack, I'm gonna challenge you a bit here. Oscar's put this comment in, and other people are talking about Big Andy as well. I personally think it's too early to criticise some of the players that didn't play so well against Southampton because of the fact that it's this new era, the new manager, etc. Do you start Hanley in the next game, or would you bring in Ozan Kabak or Big Andy?
No, I think I'd keep it the same. I thought Ben Gibson's performance has been good for the last 2 games now. I think Dean Smith holds a lot of value in Grant Hanley as captain. I think he has a lot of trust in Grant Hanley. And I think Hanley was solid. I think there was the mistake that Tim Krul pulled off a brilliant save for. That was a howler. I don't think that the goal was particularly his fault. It was just a bit of a scrappy one, and then got his goal, and I thought defended admirably from that. I think Gibson and Hanley are the safe 2. I think you're right, Chris, in saying that Big Andy will probably be slightly frustrated that he missed out, but will equally, I get why that decision was made. But I also like Ozan Kabak. I think he's been unfortunate this season he's been the one that's attempted to play the ball out from the back. And I think we were playing a system that maybe didn't reward that. But there's clearly a footballer in there. And I think Ozan Kabak has shown really promising signs.
This is the thing, isn't it, Jack? This is the exciting thing. Sorry to come across you.
Yeah.
That we've got Kabak that we've signed in that summer window. We've got Zolis as well. And this is the great point, We've got players that, Adam Eder is another one that I've seen in the comment section tonight. We've got players now. And now that we've got the confidence and the fans have this genuine belief that we have got a plan B, how exciting is it that it's now, when we see the team sheet now, it's not just going to be about the starting 11. We're now going to know that we're going to bring something off the bench and bring it on earlier to make a difference if it's not working. And so therefore, whether you want to, of course, you want your best players to start, etc. But for me, I'm kind of quite comfortable to just kind of let Dino pick his best side, whether that be Hanley, Kabak, Big Andy, or Gibson.
Yeah, Christopher Rayner says Kabak needs to play more safely, less pirouettes when coming out, as though we are winning. I think that was Kabak clearly that the error against Leeds was a poor one. I saw that as a player not receiving the right messages from a head coach. I think you stick Kabak in that team now under Dean Smith. I don't think you see Kabak doing that.
Correct.
And equally, there have been moments where Kabak has gone on a run and it's worked. That run against Burnley was excellent. I think you need a bit of that. I think you need a defender, certainly in the modern game, to have some confidence on the floor. I think that the only weakness of both Gibson and Hanley are the fact that sometimes with the ball at their feet, they do just opt to pump it long. And I don't think we've seen that from Kabak. I like what I'm seeing from the defensive line. I think another player who'll be really upset to be left out is Mr. No Breaks, Dimitri Anulis, who's done nothing wrong, but has found himself on the bench behind the Brandon Williams banging form. So it's nice to have options in every position. You've got an option. You've got another option at right back. Brandon can go over there. Sam Byram's returning. You're not going to get Max Aarons out of the side. You've got two centre-backs gagging to get back in the team in Kabak and Big Andy.
Yeah.
You've got options at left back. We finally have a squad in the Premier League with some depth, and that feels good.
Yeah, I think the only area that I would like to see improvement in January is up front, Jack. Actually, yes. I think that we've got options everywhere. I just think I would like to see a proper out-and-out goal scorer to come on for Teemu Pukki when Teemu Pukki ties up. Illusion,
cracking golf swing that is.
I'm not going to know how to pronounce that, but do you think we will continue to see more from Gilmore and Sargent, Jack?
Definitely from Gilmore. Yes, you said earlier, Chris. Dean Smith's interview he was raving about Billy Gilmore, absolutely raving about him. So yes, we'll see more from Gilmore. I think Sargent is more of a wide player than a number 9. I don't think he's a number 9. Now it all depends whether Smith wants to play him in that position. He's got a lot of talent there. He's got Jollis, he's got Cantwell, he's got Rashica. Will he be able to find? I think I liked what I saw from Sargent on Saturday. But I think that was a very unique situation. There is a good player in there with Josh Sargent somewhere. It's all about getting it out of him and then attacking midfield positions where I think Sargent's actually is strongest are very densely populated. So I think for the next few weeks, I think we'll see Sargent off the bench rather than starting.
Okay, well there you go, and thank you so much for Super Chat. Hugely appreciate that. Jack, we're still getting a lot of comments about this man, and I think it's because we all know just how good he is, and that is Todd Cantwell. I know that we've spoken about him at least 3 or 4 times already, but for the people that have just joined, Jack, I think, and I've had a few messages from people about this after the game. Oh, Todd was this, Todd was that, Todd's not good enough, Todd wasn't fit, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's a bit of a cheap shot. I think it's very easy to criticize him because of what has happened. But the fact that Dean Smith started him should tell you everything you need to know about how high in regard he holds him and what he knows that he can bring to the team. There's no doubt that he wasn't 100% fitness. There's no doubt that he was one of the players on the pitch that wasn't at that level that we need them to be at. But he'll know that. Of course, he knows that. And I just think rather than this, I don't know what, like Todd's always getting criticised. And like we're now in this new era. Please, let's just put that to bed now. We know that we've got an extremely talented Todd Cantwell that's able to be used by Dean Smith. And as he gets fitter and fitter, you will see more from Todd Cantwell. And I just think it's I think it's a bit of a lazy opinion personally to be slamming Todd Cantwell when he's clearly been unfairly treated by Daniel Farke and kept out of the side, forced to play with the under-23s. So of course he's not going to be at it. So I'm a bit disappointed to read a lot of the criticism that Todd's got. Yes, he wasn't one of the best players on the pitch yesterday. But as I've said already, it's squads that survive. And Todd Cantwell, he's a player that we know has already delivered in the Premier League. 6 goals and 9 assists last time. Of course, an absolutely brilliant performance away at Tottenham in the Cup as well. Incredible penalty under pressure. The man is a serious talent. And I personally think rather than bashing him, we should get behind him. Where do you stand on Todd, though, Jack? And actually, I'm going to ask you a very straight question. Are you starting Todd, having seen his performance against Southampton? Are you starting Todd against Wolves, or are you resting him?
I think I'm starting him. I thought it was wonderful man management of Dean Smith. You had to at some point get him involved, right? There is no other way of getting him back to match fitness other than playing him in football matches. I don't think anyone was disappointed, and I don't think Todd would have been disappointed to have been pulled at half time. It worked in the way that Dean Smith would have wanted it to. I also think I haven't watched the full 90 back, but it felt as if Cantwell was basically marked by two players at all times against Southampton, which allowed space for the others. Also, I don't think I really saw a mistake from him. He just wasn't as in the game as we've maybe come to expect from Todd Cantwell. So I didn't think he was bad. I thought, yes, he was off the pace, but he tracked back. He put it in. And it was just nice to see him back in the game. It's not his fault he hasn't been playing. It's not his fault he's been made to train with the under-23s. There's a reason why he's not match fit, because he's been excluded from the team. And I think another player who will be suffering similar symptoms is Christos Jolis. So if we were to start Jolis against Wolves, we're probably going to have a similar outcome. So it will be interesting to see whether he starts him.
The same stick, but not the same stick, Jack. And that's my point. And that's why I think it's unfair. Because if Christos Zolis puts in that performance as Todd Cantwell did against Southampton, he doesn't get that criticism. And so
I think the only reason why I haven't seen tons of criticism. I think the only reason why there may have been a little bit is, one, the narrative we've been fed from certain people at the football club, some of which are still here, some aren't, to say that he doesn't care and he's petulant. That's simply not true. And the other fact that we know how good he is. So an average performance is well below what we know Todd can produce. This is a man who scored Premier League goals against the biggest football clubs in the world. So he has high expectations for himself. Fans have high expectations for Todd Cantwell. And he will get up to that level again. Equally, it's a very competitive position that he's playing in. So performances have to improve quickly. Otherwise, he will be on the bench. But at least we know he's back in the room now. He's playing under a manager that likes him, and that's all you can ask for.
Well, and a manager that wanted to sign him for Villa.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, I'm going to throw up a comment. I've spoken a lot about this man over the past week, and I'm surprised I have been. Puemozoa Poeta. I think Dean Smith really likes this fella. I don't know why. I've just got a feeling. I've really got a feeling.
No, what you've done is you've watched a 10-second clip on the club's social media account, and you've come to the conclusion that Dean Smith loves PP.
Yes.
That's what you've done.
Absolutely. I also saw him whispering sweet words into his ear yesterday. And I saw him training, warming up and down that line. And I thought, hello, PP's here to play. PP's here for some Premier League fun.
Do you know, it will be really interesting and so exciting to see which players come out of nowhere to all of a sudden thriving under Smith and Shaky. And I think we'll see a couple of surprise packages. One of those could be PP.
Imagine.
I still think he needs a loan. That's my honest opinion. I still think he needs a loan. I'm happy for people to disagree. It's very well and good to look good in training when you're just taking shots against those fake men that sort of blow the wind. But at the end of the day, you need to see it on the pitch. But what I want to say and be clear, so people don't think I'm not trying to criticize PP. I just don't think he's ready. He's a young player, a young up and coming player, and I think that by the way, it's a really I actually empathize with PP. Right? He's been brought in. He doesn't speak this language, and he just needs time to get used to the English game, just like Mario Vrancic, just like Anel Hernandez, and the list goes on, right? So I think that one day we will see some goodness out of PP. I just don't think it's going to be the season. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he comes on against Wolves, scores the winner, chops off his man bun, chucks it in the snake pit, and pounds on the chest. I just don't think it'll happen.
Another interesting development from the game, Chris, is that Dimitri Yanoulis now has a man bun.
Yes.
Not sure how I feel about that. It's kind of like an underdeveloped man bun. It's like he's trying to, but it's not quite there yet.
Keeping warm for the winter months, though. You've got to respect that, Jack.
I don't think it's the most effective insulation because you kind of tie it quite slick and then up, don't you? You just need to let it grow out a little bit. Final point on Boyetta. I don't think he's cut out for the Premier League. What I'm saying is, I think Dean Smith likes what he sees from Boyetta, and I think he's got more of a chance in playing under Dean Smith than he would have done under Daniel Farke. Do I want PP to start? No.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I'm excited. My overwhelming emotion in this podcast, and I'm hoping everyone else is channeling this as well, is just excitement. We've now gone from having, and I felt this after game, belief is back. The belief is so back. We now go into the bib with Big Shaky. It's back, and I just think that's the most important thing for both these players and the fans. And I think it will do us the world of good. I think we now go into the Wolves game with the shackles off. I think that we've spoken about it already for so long, Jack. Dino and Shaky are now going to have a full week's worth of training. Players like Todd are going to be getting fitter. Players like Sargent are going to be having more time, more expert advice, better man management than ever before. It's brilliant. I cannot wait for the Wolves game. And it's a huge opportunity for Norwich because if we win that one, we are going to start turning heads. And do you know what? And I know the people will agree with me on this in the comments. I cannot wait to stick it to the media outlets at the end of this season. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to stick it to them. And that is pouring petroleum on my fire. It really is. I cannot wait to stick it to those media outlets that disrespected us.
To be fair, we were debating whether we'd beat the Derby points total for a little while.
No. I don't mean that. I mean the language, the fact that they were just lying. Jack, they were just spouting complete nonsense. Like, say what you want about our performances, but don't talk about our club like that. And I can't wait to stick my middle finger up at them at the end of the season when we survive.
Good. I've just noticed that we've got more points than goals this season. That doesn't happen very often, does it? That's quite remarkable, actually. 7 goals, 8 points.
Oh, God, yeah. No, that's not good. And by the way, actually, no, I'm not going to say that because that'll break my rule. I almost broke my rule, but I'm not going to say that.
No, don't. Let's finish things up. How are we feeling? We good?
Buzzing, mate. Absolutely buzzing. And
the week's gone brilliantly, hasn't it? The dream week.
Perfectly, exactly.
Yeah.
Another good week coming up for the channel. Loads of exciting content coming out. A great opposition preview this week with a Wolves fan. He's very excited to come on the channel, so that will be a lively one for sure. And yeah, it's going to be good. You're buggering off there on holiday, aren't you, though, Jack? So there'll be no match day experience next week.
No match day experience. I think we peaked on Saturday. So no, I'm looking for. Traditionally, whenever I've gone on holiday, we win football matches. So I'm hoping that vein of form continues. A brilliant win and a brilliant few days for Norwich City. I've really got my vim and vigor back with Norwich City. Yeah, we have got momentum. Thank you to everyone for watching this evening. We'll be back again very soon. And thanks to everyone for their lovely comments and super chats and all that good stuff. The channel's been growing exceptionally over the past couple of weeks, which is really good. Chris, parting message.
Dino.
Thanks for watching, everyone. See you later.